This episode of the Orange is Orange and Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, is brought to you by our presenting sponsors, Aligned Health Center and The Place. Aligned Health Center is the area's first chiropractic biophysics clinic, serving those in the Westlake and Beechwood area. Neck pain, back pain, digestive issues, you name it. Head over to Aligned Health Center to make sure your spine is in its proper shape. It literally is the backbone of your entire body. Aligned Health Center looks at the structure of the spine as a whole unit and addresses each issue according to your pain. Call Aligned Health Center at 440-230-6865 or visit their website at alignedhealthcenters.com. Again, that's alignedhealthcenters with an S.com to make an appointment to take the necessary steps you need to put your spine back into its overall ideal shape. Shouts to Aligned Health Center. This episode is also brought to you by The Place. The Place has been in business for 52 years, family owned and operated. They are a full-service fireplace and spa superstore. The Place, listen to this, offers a 16,000 square foot showroom, newly renovated with over 40 live burning fireplaces and over 40 hot tubs and swim spas on display. I do not think the 40 hot tubs and swim spas are fully operating in store, so don't come in your swimsuit or bikini. Well, maybe your bikini, I don't know. But The Place has been voted North America's #1 service center by Co-Spas 2 of the last 4 years, and it all starts with their customer service. The Place is not happy and satisfied until you, the customer, are happy and satisfied. They know this can be a difficult decision, and they help you every step of the way. Visit The Place on 2377 Medina Road today. Look for the palm trees to transform your backyard into the backyard of your dreams. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, and patios, think The Place. In this episode, Jeremy and I interviewed Jake Trotter of ESPN. We break down their first quarter of the season for the Browns. We talk about our biggest takeaways, how the team fought through adversity, our biggest surprises on offense and defense, and we look ahead to the next quarter. Jim Donovan, take us away.
45-40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Freddie, snap back, ball down, can't block! They block the kick!
This is the Orange is Orange and Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Browns insider Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, we have a very special guest on the show today.
Hey, yeah, I'm excited about it, man. Who better to talk the Browns football and the first quarter of the season than the Browns' new beat reporter for ESPN? Why don't you introduce him, Chase?
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Trotter is on the show. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem, boys. How y'all doing?
Great. So here's what we want to do. Every quarter of the season, we want to bring on someone else to kind of give us a recap, and let's just talk about the quarter of games. So, Jake, here we are. We are 2-2, a very different feel than maybe it would have been a couple weeks ago. What has been, just out of the gate, the biggest takeaway after the first 4 games of this 2019 NFL season?
Well, I think that all things considered, given all the consternation about the offense, I think the Browns are right where they would hope to be. They've got a big road win in the division. I think that the other chief contender in the division, Pittsburgh, doesn't look like they're going to be as good as we thought maybe before the season. And so I think that the Browns are actually in pretty good shape, despite really only playing, one game offensively up to their potential. So I think that they feel pretty good about where they are. The schedule is going to be a lot easier down the stretch. And so they have a chance to really stack some wins.
Jake, you probably know Baker better than anybody that covers him here in Cleveland. I heard him say something interesting the other day. He said that you can't win on talent alone. Do you think he kind of took for granted all the talent and maybe wasn't as working as hard as he should have been?
No, I don't think that it was that. I think that, the issues they had offensively were kind of figuring out, okay, we've got this shiny new toy in Odell Beckham. Like, how do we use him? And, I think that they forced some things to him when maybe that they should have gone other directions, which is what they did against Baltimore. The Ravens were committed to taking Odell out of the game. And so what happened? They ran the ball to Nick Chubb. They got Jarvis Landry involved. They've got Ricky Seals-Jones involved. And those guys had favorable matchups at all throughout the game because of the gravity that Odell affects the defense. So I don't think it was like, a work ethic situation at all. I think it was, okay, let's figure out what works with this offense and figure out how to best utilize all the weapons that we have. And I think they clearly seem to have turned a corner in Baltimore with all that.
To the fans' eye, to us, it looked a lot more like last year this week. Do you think there is something to the fact that maybe Todd Monken and Freddie are having a little trouble blending together their two offenses?
No, I don't think it's that. And I've seen that narrative out there. Freddie is still the play caller. It's still the Cleveland Browns offense. Todd has a lot of experience as a play caller from before. He's had a lot of success at the college and pro level. And so at the end of the day, like Freddie, it's up to Freddie to figure out what kind of offense, he wants to run. And I think for them, it's just, okay, like, what do we want to do with the guys that we have more so than, Todd and Freddie having issues figuring out what's going to work best between them. So it's just, Freddie is a first-time head coach. Monken is here for the first time. Baker's only in his second season. Odell is new here. I think they're just kind of figuring out some things. So I don't think that it's like, oh, well, then now it's back to Freddie's offense. This was always Freddie's offense because Freddie's calling the plays. It's not like Freddie just started calling the plays at Baltimore.
Yeah. So would you chalk that up to some of the first couple hiccups in the first couple of weeks with the offense looking sluggish and discombobulated, just having everyone get acclimated to each other, or was there something deeper, bigger than that?
No, I think it was just part of it, developing the chemistry, acclimating. I think they were experimenting a little bit with some different things, whether it was motion, how much they wanted to go shotgun, what's the best way to get Nick Chubb involved? Baker, how is he going to feel most comfortable? How do we get the ball to Odell when he's getting double covered all the time? I think all of that, played into some of the struggles offensively. And I kind of expected them to sort of have maybe some issues, out of the gate because, again, we just look at the talent, and the talent, is spectacular, but, talent alone is not enough in the NFL. You've got to utilize guys the right way, the best way. And I just think that it was going to take them a little bit of time to kind of figure all of that out.
Because I don't know if you're aware, us Browns fans kind of have a hard time of thinking logically when it comes to the team. They're either Super Bowl bound or like the top 5 pick. And if you were to read some of the tweets or some of the takes, man, it was pretty dark there for a little bit. And how quickly things turn. I feel like the momentum and the feel of the team now is, you got to watch out. And that turns so quickly just in this first quarter from, oh man, how's this going to work, to, hey, we've got it all figured out. The NFL needs to watch out and be on notice, right?
Yeah, I never bought into the sky is falling narrative after the first 3 games because and you look at the numbers, okay, Baker had the highest rate of throwing in double coverage through the first 3 games in the NFL. Guess who's getting all those targets? Odell Beckham.
Odell. Yes, sir.
So, I think that Freddie is a first-time head coach who acknowledged that, he's learning on the fly to some degree. It's not, Freddie tries to downplay it, but it's not easy being a play caller and the head coach at the same time. And so, he's adjusting to that. Baker and Odell have never played together. I think all of that is Baker is a second-year quarterback who's, the film is out on him, so defenses are throwing some different things at him that he's had to adjust to. So I always thought it was going to be a little bit of a stumble. And I always think it was going to take them a little bit of time to find that identity offensively. It would have been, crazy if they had come out and scored 52 points in the opener and it'd been like this juggernaut out of nowhere. I think that, and not to say that it's all going to be great at San Francisco. They might struggle a little bit again. But I think that as the season goes on, it might not be linear, but I do think the offense is going to look better and better as we get there.
So through the first 4 games, we've had a ton of injuries to deal with on defense, but the defense has played really well. Who's been your biggest surprise so far on that defense, as far as someone who's made plays who maybe you didn't see coming?
Joe Schobert kind of gets a bad rap sometimes.
No.
And
Chase hates him, just so you know.
I don't hate Joe
Chase
Schobert.
wants to run Joe out of town.
I do not hate Joe Schobert.
Go ahead.
I'm maybe a reason why he gets a bad rap sometimes. Like I understand why he would. I don't hate Joe Schobert.
So, despite the hate he might get on this podcast,
No.
Yeah, exactly.
he has actually been pretty good for them.
Yes.
And he was great in Baltimore. Like, he was a huge
Yes.
difference in what that defense was able to do. He didn't get any credit for that forced fumble, but kind of like a hockey assist, he got his pads on Ingram first, which sort of set up the play that resulted in the fumble. I mean, the backup corners have been terrific. TJ Carey, Terrence Mitchell, filling in for Greedy and Denzel Ward. So, I mean, those are some of the guys defensively that stick out. We all knew the defensive line was going to be good, so I don't think that's any big surprise there. But, I think Schobert just sort of is a veteran that gets overlooked, and then the backup corners have been huge keys this year.
Jake, I think you touched on another kind of key theme this first quarter is kind of like this next man up mentality. They've been ravaged by injuries just in these first 3-4 weeks, and they didn't really have to experience that last year, some of these other players. And so they were able to step up. But I think that Rams game was huge for this defense, just to trust each other, to trust the scheme, and to trust the people who aren't the starters. I think that's been huge. Let's jump to the offense. Who's been the biggest surprise for you so far, Jake, on offense the first 4 weeks?
Well, I think, Ricky Seals-Jones, he's not a guy before the season you would have said, okay, that's going to be a key guy for them in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
I watched him a lot at Texas A&M, and he was basically a wide receiver at A&M. And so he's not the all-around player that Njoku is, but I do think as far as a route runner and a guy that can affect the passing attack, he might actually be an upgrade over David in some respects. So, I think that, he has a chance to continue to build on what he did, against Baltimore with some of those big catches. He's just pretty refined as a route runner for a guy that's that big and that guy, a guy that's technically a tight end. So, he sticks out just based on what he did Sunday. Beyond that, it's been a lot of Odell, a lot of Jarvis, a lot of Nick Chubb, and those are guys we kind of thought would be at the forefront of this attack.
Yep. As a fan, I'm not going to call myself an expert, but it's evident to see Jarvis Landry and the impact he has on the field, off the field, in the locker room. Is that even more evident with the access that you have, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a stabilizing personality in that locker room for sure. He is, he's pretty low key in everything I've seen, on the field too. So I think you need those guys. And like one thing I noticed with the defense too, they just got a lot of vets, guys like Sheldon Richardson, Olivier Vernon. I mean, guys that I think are important when you're off to a 1-2 start and everybody's ripping you on, the TV debate shows and sports talk radio and on, certain podcasts. So I think that, guys like that are huge for a team that's trying to kind of take this next step from, a team that's kind of exciting, kind of interesting, to a team that can weather the storm and become a playoff team.
Jake, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I hate it, 10 being I couldn't be more happy, how pumped are you that we're not talking about a field goal kicker at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's special teams have been a strength for this team. Really since the extra point Seibert missed against Tennessee, which is perfectly understandable, given that it was his first try. Like, he's been really good. He was great in that Jets game. And then, really he's been good since about the third week of the preseason when he kind of busted out in that Colts game and won the job. And then, Jamie Gillen's special teams player of the month in the AFC. So it's special teams have, at least in a kicking game, have gone from something that was at times maybe a weakness to something I think right now you'd have to say is a strength.
And it's not like kicking in Cleveland is easy. I mean, Phil Dawson made it look easy, but there were kickers all the time coming in missing field goals. And when you push extra points back, it's kind of makes it a little more challenging. What do you expect to see from the team, Jake, in this next quarter here? We got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. We finished the first part 2-2. What would you expect to see as the next 4 games?
Well, I think that you just need to survive. So what does that mean? You want to be 3-4. I don't know if you're counting the bye week as part of the second the second quarter, but you want to be 3-4 coming out of New England. That doesn't sound like all that optimistic, but if you're 3-4, look at the schedule down the stretch. You've got 5 games against teams that haven't even won this year. Cincinnati twice, Denver, Arizona, and Miami. So, I mean, you would think worst case scenario, that alone puts you at 7 wins. And then you get, a Pittsburgh team that I think is certainly beatable. You've got some other winnable games there down the stretch as well. So as long as you're Ravens at home. And so as long as you're not sitting here at 2-5, so you don't lose these next 3 games, which are all losable, by the way, I think that you're in pretty good shape for the back half of the schedule. And if you can, you beat San Francisco and you maybe beat Seattle and you're 4-3 after the New England game, then you have a terrific chance to reach double-digit wins, I think, at that point.
So last question. We know you got to get out here. We know you got a busy day ahead of you. What do you think your prediction on this next 4 games? What do you think the Browns do record-wise?
I think they might go 2-1. I probably will predict 1-2 to be safe, but I think San Francisco's probably maybe the swing game. So, if you win that game, you come home and beat Seattle. But if you lose to San Francisco, you come back and beat Seattle, you're fine as well. So I'll probably stay with 3-4 just because, I don't give them a great shot to win in New England. And then, between Seattle and San Francisco, with one of those games being on the road, I think, probably a split there is fair. But, 3-4, 4-3. And then I think at that point, I would look for this team to win a lot of games down the second half of the season.
Well, Jake, thank you so much for coming on. I know we talked right when you got the gig. We're super pumped for you. Thanks for making time for us today, brother.
No problem, guys. Good to be on.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks. Want to give shouts to our presenting sponsors, Aligned Health Center and The Place, Northern Ohio's first chiropractic biophysics clinic located in Westlake and Beechwood. Aligned Health Center helps patients with back pain, neck pain, migraine, ADHD, digestive issues, sleep disturbance, whiplash, scoliosis, and much more. The mission at Aligned Health Center is simple. Tell people in the Westlake and Beechwood areas achieve the best possible health and overall wellness. Also shouts to The Place. The Place in Medina features one of the nation's largest showrooms of hot tubs, spas, fireplaces, outdoor cooking, and leisure products for your home. Use promo code ORANGE on any Weber, Boyle King, Big Green Egg, Fire Magic, Aston, AOG, Louisiana Pellet. Girls will save 10%. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, or patios, think The Place. Jeremy, any final thoughts, brother?
No, man. The first 4, you were so right in that interview. How big is one game? It's unbelievable. It swung our entire attitudes. Now, it wasn't just the game. It's how we won the game. I don't think a lot of people expected us to go in there, run the ball down the Ravens' throats, and blow them out. But it is pretty incredible how much things change week to week in the NFL. It literally went from gloom and doom to we're back, baby, in 1 week, which is one thing you got to love about the NFL, right? You never know week to week.
Yep. Well, Jake was great. We hope to do this to you a couple more times as the season goes after every quarter. And I think it'll be good. It'll be good. Jake did great. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this first quarter here?
Yeah, it's kind of right where I kind of expected it to be. I was hoping, 2-2, if they can get through these first 4, 2-2, and like Jake said, after 7, if you're 3-4 or 4-3, you're set up for a run because we go right in a row. You go, Denver on the road. Denver's bad. You've got Buffalo, Miami, Pittsburgh all in a row, games you can win. Then you have the Bengals twice coming down the stretch, and you get the Ravens at home. So if they can come through this tough 7-game stretch plus their bye at 3-4 or 4-3, you've got a real good look at it coming down the stretch.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jeremy, thanks for your time today. And where are you watching the game on Monday?
Monday night, baby. I'll be watching it at home with my boy like I always do when they're on the road.
Nice. All right, let's go, Browns. Hoo, 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 hoo.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Ooh, ooh.